are unlimited, and so unlimited perhaps that we feel anxious about, like, oh my God, I can do anything. And so within that, like, follow what makes you happy, like, trust yourself, like, follow your heart, see what makes you really, really happy, go out and travel. The world is not the news. It's not the news. People are not as terrible as you've been told. People are actually, at the end of the day, always looking to be kind to another human. Like, I've met so many amazing people in so many countries.
Today's guest is Kaylee Worsley, someone courageous enough to walk in two worlds simultaneously, the physical and spiritual, to grow and push boundaries. Welcome, Kaylee.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today.
Thank you. I'm excited for our conversation. I'm really excited with the walking into two worlds simultaneously. I really love that. Great opening. Thank you. So with that said, what is one of the most courageous things that you have done?
I think recently I took a very big leap and moved from Canada to Greece, specifically to enhance that walking between worlds. So what I mean when I say that is the physical and the non-physical, like the seen and the unseen, the spiritual and the logical worlds. I walk a line between them every day by doing my business and by just being a human.
Wow. I love that. Really love that. So how did the name and the idea of True Alchemy Academy come? And
It's
tell me more about that.
they're both really interesting. So the name actually came before the business. I previously, in my other business, I was a social media manager. And it brought me a lot of very, very interesting clients.
Can
And
imagine.
and I didn't really want to niche down. I wanted to see which field I liked the best, and I ended up liking so many different things. And so one of my clients was a music festival, and I was at this music festival, like, dancing, and I was with this employee of mine at the time. And we had our scarves and we were like yelling and like making funny noises. And she was like, "Ah, we're dancing like witches." And I was like, "Yeah, it's like True Alchemy." And I was like, "Oh, that's such a cool name for a business." And so as time passed, I kept thinking True Alchemy. And then I went to a women's festival, like literally a week later. I did a really intense breathwork session, which I had never done before in my life. So I didn't really know what to expect, but it was intense. And I'm laying on the ground, kind of moving through those feelings of, like, I don't know, if you've done breath work, you know that you just cry and you like release so much that you've suppressed. And as I'm working through them, I see this bird fly over me. And as the bird flies over me, it brought me like a vision. Like, I saw the Hathor temple in my mind, and I had been there the year before. And from what I understood of the temple itself, it was a place of obviously devotion and honoring, but also education of like the ancient wisdom and the sacred knowledge. And so I thought, ah, I have to rebuild this in like a modern way. And so I was like, perfect, I already have the name. And now that I know it needs to be a school, I'll just call it True Alchemy Academy. And that was 3 years ago. So since then, I've just still been working on developing and understanding what exactly it means.
Wow, I love that. And I love the name. I mean, anything with alchemy in it just really gives that magical touch.
Yes, it's like
It's that
so ancient.
knowing. So what took you on a journey of walking on the path of healing?
This is a nice question. I think it starts, obviously everything starts in your childhood. Like, as much as people constantly talk about it, it's so true. And so I had a very interesting one. I grew up in government housing in Canada, which means someone in your family is most likely on welfare. my mom was on welfare and she was a single mom. And my dad was fairly abusive and fairly absent, but he was there sometimes and then he would like pull
Mm.
away, and then he started to get really into drugs, and then he started to become more abusive. He was going to jail often, like some really crazy stuff. And my neighborhood was also quite violent. And for Canada, everyone is like, oh, Canada's peaceful, but like we're also violent. So don't believe the news. And then my mom also had a lot of mental health issues. And so
Mm.
I saw a lot of just like a lot of unhealed behavior, a lot of
Mm.
choices that probably could have been different, a lot of anger, a lot of hatred, a lot of like shame and pride, those very low vibrational feelings. And you're allowed to feel them at some points, but when you're living in them and when you're seeing people live in them, it's a very, very, very different world. And so I just saw everything I didn't want to be. And so I was like, okay, obviously, like, no one else is going to do the healing for me because they don't even know how to heal
Mm.
themselves. So I took myself on that journey of healing. And it's been like like 10 years since I decided like I'm gonna take control of my own fate.
Yeah, and that's really courageous of you because let's face it, it's easier sometimes to just carry on and don't face things. Facing things is the most important thing and the most courageous things you can do. And absolutely well done. Absolutely.
Thank you. That's so nice. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
It,
because
it,
like so many people do, it's easier. They take the easier option, and facing things is a lot more hard. And it's coming through it and knowing you can actually come through something, do the work on yourself, and then you can help others.
yeah, yeah.
Just
As
having
soon as
that.
you know what to do for yourself, it's like receiving a doctorate and then like helping the people understand how you received it. It's a medicine thing. So once you learn the medicine, you pass it down.
Absolutely, yes. So, what inspired ancient wisdom in your everyday life?
I was obsessed with ancient Egypt as a kid and also ancient Greece, which is why I live here now. My family is part Greek, so it feels more home than Edmonton, where I'm from, did. Though I'm appreciative of the city, I just never felt like it was my home and place to be. And I just like love everything they did. Like I think in our modern society we have evolved so beautifully, and we have
Mm.
an abundance of everything. And but the only thing that we really forget to do is feel, like with our heart. We don't
Mm.
actually remember what it's like to have like a soft touch, or like to breathe properly, or to eat nourishing food, or to just like take a moment of stillness. We forget what it's like to be present. And I think ancient wisdom in a way bridges that gap, that helps you understand, like, first of all, we're on a planet in the middle of nowhere. Like we really are in the vastness of space, and this planet gives you everything. And secondly, people have always dealt with mysteries and like been in awe of where we are, and now we're not anymore. We're kind of just like, we're here, and we forgot that like we're on a floating rock in space. Like how wonderful is this? And I
Yeah,
think I think ancient wisdom is something so deep in us, like in our bones, from our ancestors and from, the collective unconsciousness that has accumulated this mass of understanding. And I just think it's an easy way to like reignite that light that we have inside of us. So
absolutely.
this is it. This is how.
Yeah, absolutely. And things have changed so much recently with the events of the global pandemic. And so tell me, how and why do you believe remote workers and digital nomads are changing the world? Because that's a very poignant point.
I and it's a genuine belief that I have. And
Mm.
mainly because I started off remote working at the beginning of the pandemic. Actually, before the pandemic, I moved
Mhm.
to live on a rooftop in Mexico, and I was in I was in like a small village, and I was the only foreigner there. I speak Spanish. I took it in school, so it was okay.
Mm.
And then I moved to Toronto. I had quite like a year of just like moving and working online and like adjusting to new cities. And then I moved back to my hometown to live with my mom just before the pandemic because I had a dream from my great grandpa actually. And there I started to really remote work. I started my social media business. I worked at home a lot. I worked from my phone. I was making a lot of money. And then I moved here. And here was like the catalyst for this idea because I was by myself. I was remote working. I was deepening my spiritual practice because I had time, I had the space, I had my own apartment. I could, burn frankincense every morning or like sage my house or like I could really, really meditate in
Mm.
silence and go deeper and deeper. And then I moved here. And then because I didn't have any friends or speak fluent Greek yet, I had to go outside and like force myself to speak with people. And as I was doing this, I realized how many other remote workers were here and how many of them had the same ideas as me. They just weren't like concentrated yet. They were just kind of like if we were to say they were atoms, like their thoughts were gas instead of like
Mm.
solid. But I was like, "Oh my god, you're kind of on the path. Like you're almost there." And so I thought like if you have time, remote workers first of all have time. Same with digital nomads. They're at home or they're not in a typical 9 to 5 office environment where they
Mm.
have to necessarily listen to people's problems every day or listen to the news or play politics or these things. They kind of can just work around this 9 to 5 mentality, and they're already doing something for humanity by pushing the boundaries of what we believed work was. So they're doing kind of like three things at once simultaneously. And I truly believe with the right tools, digital nomads and remote workers, especially those who already have an understanding or like a deep desire to deepen their spiritual practice, can really change the world because they can change themselves into beings who completely understand what it's like to reconnect with ancient wisdom. Because, you know, once you do it and you live it and you embody it, you change the energy of the outer space no matter what. Like I know that I cannot force anyone to do anything and I would never want to anyways. But I can show them, and if they choose to walk that
Mm.
path, like they inevitably will. It's like lighting a candle. Like one flame can light another, and it passes like this. And so I think this is why they have it, because they have remote workers and digital nomads have the space, the time, they have the mental capacity as well. Most of them probably are having this deep calling of like freedom and wanting to grow because they're already choosing a path that's not necessarily already laid out for them. They're they're courageous and they're leading in a way. As long as they stay true to who they are, like they can do so many magnificent things, I think.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more with you. And it is everything you've just said. I mean, in the self development world, most people are self employed, they are working from home and having the time and that calling to
Yeah.
do what's for the better. It's not just about themselves. It's good for people around them and then communities, and it gets all the way around. It's helping everyone. It's not just a small portion. Absolutely agree with what you're saying, and I think it is. I mean, it's just shown us what we can do.
Yeah. Yes. We really did not.
Mm.
Like when I was 15, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to go to university. I'm going to have to get a job. I'll probably go into psychology because my parents. And I was like, I really hate that idea. I really don't want to do it, but I don't know what other path I could see. And then at 17, I decided to model, and I was like, hey, I'll just figure it out from there. So I modeled. But the point is that like now 15-year-olds can be like, oh, I'll just trade stocks on my phone because I have, these people who are working from home trading stocks and making thousands and thousands. Or they're like, I'll just do social media management. I can work from my phone and take my laptop and a camera and work anywhere in the world. Like we're physically changing the minds of the youth right now. Like we're showing them, hey, there's a whole new world in front of you. You don't have to take a path that someone deems worthy for you. You can create your own, and it's actually like a lot easier and a lot more available than it ever has been before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't echo that enough. Absolutely. It
It's a
is like we can seriously do anything.
Yeah. Like actually we're unlimited, and the only limitations we
Yeah,
have are the ones we place on ourselves.
absolutely. Yeah. You are the author of the books The Heart of the Throne, Endless Blue, Journey Within, and Warrior of Earth. Tell me more about your books.
These books also came at the beginning of the pandemic. Um, I couldn't find a book I really liked, so I decided to write some. I had always like had a love for writing. As a kid, I used to write stories all the time by hand, before,
Mhm.
laptops and phones, and I would write them by hand. And I loved it. I love storytelling. I think it's fantastic. And then I went into marketing, so then I really understood storytelling. So I wrote Warrior of Earth during the pandemic, and the whole book like just flowed into my mind. I was like so at ease. It's almost like being like for writing for me is almost like being in the flow state, like where
Wow.
everything just everything makes sense. And so Warrior of Earth is actually a series. So there are 3 books so far. I believe there will be 6.
Wow.
And The Heart of the Throne actually goes really well with True Alchemy because it's about an ancient Egyptian queen who finds magic in the desert and has to take her kingdom back from those who wish to spoil it. So the books are all fiction. I also, a really interesting belief of mine is that fiction stories, you can portray the truth within it so well. Like,
Mm.
for example, Warrior of Earth, the whole idea of Amelia, who is the main character, she has to connect with the earth to connect with her own inner magic. And for me, that's exactly how I see the world. Like if you connect with nature, you find magic, period. Like I was in the sea swimming yesterday, and I was like, wow, this is what it is to like be a human, as I like my hands were in the water. And I was like,
Mm.
people who are no longer in the physical realm cannot like feel water on their skin. And so I was like, this is so magical. And I was just like literally playing mermaids by myself in the sea. And it's magic. It gives you so many things in the moment to be with the planet. Like I was in so much gratitude. I was at so much peace. And these are to me like magical elements. So I really like sharing stories in fiction of, people who have to go through trial and error, who have
Mm.
to work together, etc. But like also little things of truth of my beliefs of like ancient wisdom and understanding like how I think humans are so like special. Like being alive to me is so special.
And honestly, I absolutely love that. And the books sound absolutely wonderful. You know how you can get lost in books? I can really see myself getting lost in your books. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you. I hope that people can get lost in them. It's the point is to like go into that
Mm.
world and see it that way and then come out and be like, huh, I wonder if I could see my world as a magical realm.
Absolutely fantastic. What is one of the most important lessons you've learnt over your life so far?
I actually think the most important lesson, even though obviously micro lessons happen, but the biggest one is to trust yourself. I think that
Mm.
this was the one that is like so magnificent and proven to me every day through everything is to just trust yourself, literally believe in yourself, and that's the lesson at the core of everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
To simplify it, because of course, like I said, micro lessons happen all the time, daily.
Absolutely. Yeah. for sure. So what would you say to someone listening that wants to travel and become a nomad, or wants to actually be able to work remotely, and they're thinking, I can't do that. You know, they've got the security of the 9 to 5 job.
This is a good question, actually, because I've never had 9 to 5, so I'm not sure how it would feel to be so secure. I've always had the opposite of that. So taking risks for me is very, very easy. But if I was comfortable in a job, I would ask myself if I was truly happy and what would excite me the most. And let's say it's remote working. I would say try at your 9 to 5 to build something that you can bring on the road with you. Like whether it's social media or it's, digital downloads or copywriting online or finding another job that gives you the freedom. You can have a 9 to 5 and still work remotely. You don't always have to have your own business. You can be employed and work remotely. I would say figure that out first because it's a very big pain to worry constantly about money. And of course you can do it. Like people already do it, so it's not like it's impossible. And even if no one did it, you could definitely be the first one. There are, like I said, like there are no limitations. There's only the ones that you put on yourself. And I that's something like I'll take to the grave with me is we are unlimited and so unlimited perhaps that we feel anxious about like, oh my God, I can do anything. And so within that, like follow what makes you happy, like trust yourself, like follow your heart, see what makes you really, really happy, go out and travel. The world is not the news. It's not the news. People are not like as terrible as you've been told. People are actually at the end of the day always looking to be kind to another human. Like I've met so many amazing people in so many countries and it's not the news. Like the world is not the news station. It's not these like scary stories that we've been told. The world is a place full of humans just like you, just like me, who are more than happy to have a conversation or like give you directions or tell you their favorite sushi spot in Japan. Like people at the end of the day are people. So I say go for it. Make sure that you have some financial security because you don't want to not have it when you're abroad, right? But even if you don't have it when you're abroad, there are so many ways to make money. If you go to Zimbabwe, like there'll probably be a hostel that wants an English speaker, and maybe you can work there under the table. Like there's always ways to make the dream happen. That's my advice. I hope like no one's parents get mad at me.
No, I love that. And it's so true. The world really is your oyster. And I think the key point that you've just pointed out is trust yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, just be there with yourself. Just trust that that you're smart enough, that you're capable, that you'll be able to get through any situation life throws at you, and that you're worthy of your dream. Like you're worthy of it, so do it.
Excellent. So if there was one key takeaway you would want every listener to walk away with today, what would that be?
It's so on brand for me, but I think the key takeaway is to develop a spiritual practice for yourself. Like even if it's not rooted in a certain belief system yet, but just spiritual in a way that you devote yourself to you, as in like meditate, go for a massage, forgive and give yourself compassion and grace, like listen to a sound meditation, do stretch your body, read a book. Like this is also a part of a spiritual practice. It doesn't have to be intense, but I think it's what grounds people in who they really are.
Absolutely. So tell me more about your academy and how
Yeah,
that is.
it's so like I said 3 years ago, the bird flew over me and I realized what I had to build. I first started with a podcast actually, and then I realized that I wanted to build more of a community that I could grow. Like instead of just talking to myself or one other person, I wanted to talk to many people. And so now I'm in the beta launch of my online academy. So it's an online school for ancient wisdom. It's dedicated ancient wisdom for the modern soul. It has a lot of tools that have helped me over the years feel grounded in who I am, feel confident in these things. It's got yoga and meditation, pre-recorded videos and audios, and it's got a lot of information, a library, which I really like because I like books. So I put a library in there. It's in its beta launch. I think I'll officially launch it for the public in September once I've, tweaked the platform, made sure everything runs smoothly. I've also begun to work with other experts in their fields doing collaboration courses. So, for example, I've worked and developed a sound healing course, a breath course. Right now, we're developing a nutrition for the female body. And we're also doing like self devotion, lymphatic drainage, embodiment, these types of courses, art therapy. And this is how I wanted to create community. So, have experts in their field come and teach with me, and also have a place for digital nomads or remote workers to go and develop their spiritual practice with all of the tools I've learned over the last 10 years that have helped me ground in myself, learn who I am, besides like just this being, but like inside who I am. And I think it's I built it, so obviously I'm super biased, but I think it's such a special thing for us to have in our world, because we have so many, like I said, we're infinite. So there's so many options for, you go on TikTok and you look at, I don't know, spiritual tools, and then you have to like go through all of the data. But I made sure that it was in one place. So you could just be a student, see it all, have a community you can speak with, and then develop from there.
Oh, wow, that sounds so exciting. And please do get in touch with Kaylee. So my next question is, where can the listeners find you online, your books, your platform, your website? Where can people connect with you?
They can connect with me a few ways. So my True Alchemy, of course, I think the Instagram is probably the best way right now to stay up to date with what goes on. So the Instagram is True Alchemy Academy. And the website and stuff is linked in the bio. But if anybody wants to know, it's truealchemyacademy.com. And you can find the books on the website, and you can just Google my name and find them on there. You can also follow my personal Instagram if you'd like. It's at @kworsley_. But if you really like True Alchemy, then follow that Instagram.
Thank you for sharing your insightful wisdom and knowledge with us today. And by doing so, I know you have helped so many others make a difference. I really want to acknowledge you for that. Kaylee Worsley.
Thank you. I appreciate you acknowledging it, and I accept it. Thank you very much, with love and gratitude.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. So, with that said, we are all about Create the Courage to be Fearless podcast here. What is your definition of courage?
I think following your heart is my definition. Though I know it's probably cliche, but it's in a world full of noise and other people's opinions and what they mirror onto you, it's extremely courageous to just continue with your heart.